Social media. Probably everyone in our modern society is using it every day for a bunch of time. I mean, you're still using it right now to watch this video. Every time when we like posts, our brain releases dopamine, which makes us feel good. Psychologically, the same happens when we see notifications, follows and likes. Scrolling through social media has the same effect on our brain like using a slot machine. We have 7.8 billion people on our planet, and 3.73 billion are active on social media. It's a giant market, and the goal of social media companies is to keep us users as long as possible on the platform to show us as many advertisements as possible, so that the sellers make the best profits and pay the social media companies more for new ads. For many people, social media has become an addiction like drinking, smoking or taking drugs. When we get asked if we could quit social media for a week, our answer might be something like, "Yes, of course I can, but I don't want to." But isn't that what every addict says? So what is going to happen when we stop using social media for 30 days? Don't get me wrong, I love using social media, especially YouTube and Instagram. But I've still recognized that I've built an unhealthy habit of using social media for about 4 hours a day. Probably this came out of my job as content creator, because I always had to do something with social media. During the lockdown there were days where I was using Instagram for 4 hours a day without taking other social media platforms into account. So I really wanted to change something. Then I saw the video from Niklas Christel. He's another German content creator, and probably he gave me the last kick to start the social media detox. I've deleted all social media apps like Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube and Pinterest, and only kept messengers like WhatsApp, and allowed myself to use the Instagram direct messages 2 times a week, because otherwise my business would crash. On the laptop and PC I used the add-on called Self-Control, which was pretty easy to install and adjust. So let's get started. Good morning! This is the first day, and even this one is really hard because normally my day starts with checking social media. So it was at a weekend and I made the decision to look for some compensation for the next weeks. I went into the forest on my own and enjoyed the good air and the silence. I think I've never had the feeling of having no time pressure like I had on the Saturday. So it was just the nature and me. After I came back from my tiny trip, I had the desire of cleaning my room perfectly. The first days without social media were really hard, and I've always had the desire to check my channels. Hey guys, today is day 10 and the last days felt really weird because I always wanted to click on the social media icons, especially on the Instagram app, but of course it wasn't there. So my brain had to realize, okay, social media isn't there, you have to find something else. I tried to replace it, then I start scrolling on the left side of my screen. There's the Google News feed, and of course, in my opinion, it's really not better because there are a lot of fake news. So I should definitely do not follow this new habit. Therefore, I started creating new habits and read the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I tried to double my weekly run and went out for a few 10 kilometers run, alone or with friends. In general, I had more time and definitely wanted to spend it with friends and family, to create some quality time. Even in school and in my side hustle, I had definitely more time, and it was a lot easier to come in a powerful condition called flow, where you don't care about your surrounding and only concentrate on one thing. I worked for a bunch of clients, learned for school, edited videos, also this one, had time to edit pictures from my last Paris trip in summer, found my new business partner and have produced my first real estate video. So yes, of course, the month was really productive. I had 1 week autumn vacation and I totally enjoyed this time. My best friend and I went on a short and super spontaneous weekend trip. Servus Leute, heute geht's in die Pfalz. Let's go. Yeah, there's still someone in the background. What the fuck. We still wanted to go somewhere in nature, and I love short trips like this. I totally enjoyed this tour, especially because I didn't have the pressure or feeling of posting Instagram stories or always being online. That helped me a lot to just live in the moment and enjoying what life is offering you. I used the time to start filmmaking like 5 years ago and being in love with creating content. I also came into contact with my original motivation of creating. For me it's all about creating stunning stories, whether it is in photography or in filmmaking. We slept in the car for the first time, and probably for the last time. No, just kidding, it was awesome. And of course we caught a fantastic purple sunrise with a fabulous location and a nice view. Just take a moment and enjoy.
In Österreich gilt deshalb ab heute eine strengere Maskenpflicht im öffentlichen Raum.
Then there came Halloween. In August I've already got the idea of creating a special video for Halloween with smoke bombs and a carved pumpkin. So I met some friends to carve pumpkins. It was a lot of fun and the final version reminds me a bit of marshmallow. What do you think? So I've asked my brother if he could help me with producing this video. He said yes and made a good job. Thanks bro! Halloween was one of the last days for the second lockdown, so I used the chance to meet my cousin and 2 friends again to make a campfire and of course a late-year barbecue. To be honest, I really liked this challenge and added 7 days longer, but of course I need this time for editing this project. In the end I can tell you a lot has changed. Of course there were situations where I really missed social media, for example when I came back home from school but couldn't watch YouTube videos like I normally do. On the other hand, it felt really good to don't have the comparison to other people in the internet. I became significantly more productive and worked a lot, although I've watched more Netflix compared to the months before, but I think that's okay. When you're going to take a social media free month, you definitely have to find new activities to compensate it. As you have seen in my case, it's exploring the nature. For some people doing more sport will work, but that's unique and you have to find what fits you the best. I think I've never experienced a month that long, and I obviously felt like I had more time. But don't fall into this trap. When there's one thing I've learned this month, it is that you can always decide for yourself what to focus on. It's always up to you what you're going to do out of every day and every situation. 30 days later I've watched some YouTube videos from my favorite creators again and had the feeling that nothing has changed except the YouTube layout. I would definitely recommend you to dispense on social media for the next 7 to 30 days and observe what's going to change in your life. If you like the idea, don't think too much about it, post the last story and then delete all social media apps. Give it a try. Thanks for watching. I would love to hear your feedback about this topic and if you're going to give this challenge a try. For me it was really necessary to see that it feels good to stop using social media after using it for 7 years on a daily basis. For sure, I've got a new picture of my old social media consumption and I will turn out every notification so that I can determine when I want to use the apps. I made 2 rules for me after this month. No phone in the bathroom and turn it off at least 1 hour before going to bed. See you in the next video. Follow me on Instagram.